And up next is Erik Gomez from Uber.
Thank you, everyone. So my name's Erik Gomez. I'm a senior client platform engineer at Uber, and my story is a very, very personal one. It's a little different. You know, most people, I think, on the stage so far have had degrees, and I don't. So I'd like to, talk a little bit about myself. First thing, obviously, Latino. I'm a husband. Let me see if you can start this slide. All right, perfect. So husband, dog lover, and obviously high school dropout and a college dropout. But even then, I've still been able to have an engineering role. And the way I really kind of internalize that is hard work, determination, and just forcing myself to succeed, where people didn't believe in me, but I stayed highly motivated and I ensured that I was a success story and not a failure. I'm also very stubborn too, so I think that kind of helps. But my journey has had hardships and I've had success stories, but it's really about my rock, and my strength are my 2 daughter dogs and my wife. So my wife's Whitney, the beautiful gray dog is Mary, and then the crazy white dog is Zoe. But when I have a bad day, I come home and they wiggle their tails, and I'm so happy, and I remember the struggles that I have and why I'm here. So a little bit more about myself. My mother's side is Lebanese and Mexican, and that's where I get my eyebrows. And then my father's side is Spanish and Mexican, and that's where I get my light skin. So I like to call myself a bolillo. I'm like 1.5, generation Mexican and American. But, I was too light-skinned for the Mexicans when I was young, and I was too dark-skinned for the white people. So it was really, really difficult for me. But my journey started in tech in 2007. I got my first kind of baby technician role. In 2014, I had my first systems administration role. And then in 2016, I had my first engineering role. And now, in 2018, I'm a senior engineer. My parents, they taught me a lot of things. My mother, she taught me how to have a work ethic and how to treat people with respect and also treat them as humans. But then my dad, he really taught me how to have confidence and how to have passion, and also how to have fun. My mom, she loved humans, but she didn't know how to have fun. But the problem is they also taught me some bad things. My mom, she had her life controlled by fear, and her success was held back by that. Whereas my father, he had bad communication styles. He would go silent on us, and he was also, while he was passionate, he was also arrogant. And so unfortunately, that impacted them in the same ways. My mother, her career was impacted because she was fearful that she wasn't qualified for the position that she needed to go for. And for my father, he was stubborn, he was Mexican, and he could have had a lifetime judge position if he'd gotten his citizenship. But instead, he literally put a Mexican flag in our front yard and said, I'm a Mexican, I will not be a Mexican American. I've tried to not take that approach. I've said I need to be proud of my work and be proud of who I am, but not lead my life with arrogance. And then I need to build others around me so I can learn from them and they can learn from me. And a lifetime lesson that I'm still trying to learn is find time to live, not just live for work. But let me just kind of get into my story. So like my first role, I was a baby technician. I was really a dispatcher, and I was good at that. It was for a company called Friendly Computers. I worked for a racist white man, and he actually didn't allow me to work on computers, but my friend would allow me to work on these computers. So I worked there for a few years, and I saved up my money to get my first Mac. And through that, I was able to become a Mac technician for a company called Digital Crisis. I went around the Houston area, and I worked on personal computers, I worked on small businesses, but I honed my craft, and I got better and better at Apple products. So that kind of led me into my next job, which was for Galveston Independent School District. I was the hybrid technician and also Mac systems administrator. And so I wrote my first piece of code there because I found myself doing the same job over and over and over, and I wanted to find a way to make myself better and support my teachers in a better way. But the school district was actually poor. They couldn't have the software that we needed, so I had to learn open source technologies. I went to Houston ISD, and now I was working on 10,000 Macs. There was political problems there, and those political problems made it where I still had to use open source tooling. And so again, I kept honing my craft and get better at it. And so I was there for about 2 years, and then Pinterest called, and I moved to San Francisco, and my whole engineering career started. I was the first client platform engineer at Pinterest, and from there, I forced myself to learn Python. I'd never written a single line, but I'd used Python code in my projects, and I wanted to learn it. And so there, obviously, I started working with 2,000 engineers, and I developed the first mobile device management hybrid system that merged cloud proprietary systems and open source systems, and now they're used by companies like Microsoft, Facebook, Dropbox, Slack, Walt Disney. If you work for these companies, chances are my tools are on your computers. And so I'm really, really proud of that. Thank you. Thank you. So the question is, like, why did I join Uber? And really one of the main reasons is a Latino manager. For once, I could finally have someone that understood me and understood my passion and desires. Also, our team was diverse. We were working with 20,000 engineers now across 250,000 devices. So we have 30,000 Mac OS devices, 15,000 Windows devices, and 200,000 tablets, iOS and Android. So the scale was huge. It's the largest deployment that I've ever managed. And I'm actually the lead engineer for this team. Beyond just the Mac products and the Windows, though, we also do mobile infrastructure. So every time an engineer lands a piece of code, our systems run and check that code against regressions and ensure that we don't deliver a buggy Uber product. And so this is the first team I'm working on that collaborates the product side with the corporate side. And again, another example of this is those 200,000 tablets, that's Uber Eats. So every time you order from Uber Eats, there's a restaurant with a tablet that my team manages and ensures that every device across the world is updated and secure all the time. I'm really, really proud of my team, really, really proud of the work. We have an ERG, it's Los Ubers, and I'm happy to say that I'm part of that. We have many other ERGs at Uber, diverse groups of people. You're welcome to join if you're not Latino. Obviously, we're all here, so we are all Latino, but anyone else is welcome to join. And Dara, our CEO, is really changing this company, and I encourage you, if you're interested or ever wanted to work for Uber, you're welcome to. You can find me, you can